Why it's called March Madness, everybody. Welcome in to the Unash and Dukes podcast. Scott Unash, Mark Dukes with you. Our Unash and Dukes podcast page on our YouTube channel, and we encourage you to go there. I've got all our old episodes available for you right there. You can also go to crmlivesports.com. We are presented by Emel's Hideaway, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. They are located right across from the Lindale Mall, next to the Home Depot, and open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. Great place to take in March Madness, whether it's men's basketball, women's basketball, NCAA wrestling, whatever the case may be. Great place to go check things out. And thanks to them, thanks to our other great sponsors, Ben Ritter Sportswear, Hunt Graphic Innovations, Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast, and American Family Insurance agent Kurt Gustafson on Johnson Avenue Northwest, right across from the Johnson Avenue High V. March Madness, Mark, it giveth, it taketh away. And a lot to cover here on the podcast today. For Iowa and Iowa State, a chance to get to the Elite Eight in men's basketball for a combined almost 60 years it's been since they've both been there, or one's been, you know what I mean. It's been a long time. Iowa State for over 2 decades, Iowa since 1987. Chance for them, both the Iowa State and Iowa women, out as the Iowa women fall in double overtime on Monday afternoon to a Virginia team. We talked about St. John's, Mark, how they were not a number 5 seed. That Virginia women's team was not a number 10 seed, with two players that had been one with LSU, who won a championship ring, another played in the Final Four with NC State, another McDonald's All-American. That was not your typical 10 seed, and they showed it. But holy cow, welcome to March, Mark. How's your bracket?
Well, like everybody else's, with Iowa beating Florida last night. And I'm telling you what, you can't do anything today in Iowa anyway without seeing a replay, people commenting about the game. I mean, on television, on your phone. I was out a couple times today, and did you watch the game last night? Of course I did. And well, great game, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a great game. Um, but people are talking about it, and it was one for the ages, really, in Iowa men's basketball lore. I mean, it's being compared to Steve Waite's 3-point play against Georgetown, and a play I saw in Seattle, Kevin Gamble's 3-pointer against Oklahoma. There's probably others. I don't think we want, there's no point in ranking them, but last night, think about it. I mean, and I know you have, the odds were so stacked against Iowa. I mean, you got the defending national champion playing in its home state, and huge foul trouble. Banks and Fulgaris and Manuel all had 4 fouls. I think Koch had 3. Uh, Sturts being 0 for 9 from 3-point range. I mean, everything was against this Iowa team, but in the areas that it mattered, Iowa had more guts, and they played their ass off. Really, they really did. I would have said that win or lose, and that's what you have to admire about this team. They were even rebounding with Florida. Who would have thunk that? It was dead even, and scoring in the paint was dead even. Those are two areas that Iowa was uh, supposedly going to struggle, but it didn't. And it was, I don't know, it was it was Just Settles at a great post party like it's 1999. And I think everybody did last night.
First Sweet 16 appearance, and Iowa fans in men's basketball have heard that 1999, final year of Dr. Tom Davis, for 27 years. And Iowa fans have been reminded by various fan bases that it's been 27 years since they've been to the final or to the Elite we'll get it. The Sweet 16. And all that went out the window. There's still work to be done. And we'll get to that coming up in a little bit here as we move along. But yeah, and I don't want to get into the whole business of ranking shots. Was that Steve Waite's shot? No. Steve, that was in a Elite Eight regional final to go to the Final Four when Steve Waite came up with that. Was this shot great? Yeah, this is the best. That was the most famous Iowa basket in an NCAA tournament, Mark, since Kevin Gamble's 3-pointer. How long ago was that? That was in the Kingdome. Kingdome doesn't even exist anymore with Iowa and Oklahoma in that regional semifinal 1987. By the way, go back and look at that. That was one of the great games in NCAA tournament history. And there were like 11 NBA players in that game between the two teams. But my point being, yes, Alvaro Folgueras probably never has to buy another drink in Iowa City as he gets older and longer in the tooth. Florida helped him out a little bit, I think. The early kerfuffle scuffle, however you want to take a look at it, I think got under Florida's skin, Mark, and I think it inspired Iowa a little bit. And I'm not going to go back and dissect the whole thing. It's been dissected a million times. You either are on the Iowa side of it, on the Florida side of it, or straight down the middle. And I think the call was right. I think the call was right. That's all I'm going to say about it. But I I really think that messed Coach Golden up in the head a little bit. He didn't coach a real good game after that, and that included that last defensive draw up against Iowa with 10 seconds to go that allowed Folgueras to have a wide open three in the corner.
Yeah, that scramble between Folgueras and Condon was if Florida had not gotten the message, it got the message there then that Iowa was there for business. Um, I do think that the officials got it right, and if Folgueras wanted to punch Condon in the stomach, he would have. He's trying to, I think, more than anything, than get Condon's hand off the ball. But I think the call was right, but that was a pivotal point because had the ruling not gone Iowa's way, Folgueras would have been out the game. And we know what happened at the end. Iowa needed him at the end. But I think Golden really got upset. And I don't know who started what with between McCollum and Golden, but there was some heated words exchanged that you don't see too often in college basketball. And I think you're right. It did getting in the head of the head coach and maybe the players as well that, this is not going to be a walkover, and it certainly wasn't.
I don't see Iowa and Florida having a non-conference home and home anytime soon. Let's just put it
No,
down.
they don't do those sorts of things. I don't
No,
think.
we're meeting at a neutral site. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Folgueras had a tremendous game. So many players stepping up. Tavian Banks has been terrific. He was terrific. Cooper Koch has made this team so much better with the fact that he is hitting 3-pointers now. He is a viable offensive weapon. Iowa won 2 games in Tampa without Bennett Sturts being Bennett Sturts. And that was the mark against this Iowa team all through the year. Well, they can beat anybody if Sturts is on. Well, they showed with Bennett Sturts hitting about 32% from the field that they can win these games and be tough doing so. I'm not sure what's going to happen Thursday night against Nebraska. It's going to be very, very interesting and very entertaining on many levels. But man alive, this Iowa basketball team has far exceeded expectations so far this year. Who knew? Who would have put money on the Iowa men's team playing beyond the Iowa women's team? But that's what we're facing right now.
Yeah, no question about it. And I mean, Ben McCollum's done a terrific job, but I'd caution people to put him up there, with the John Woodens and the Tom Izzo's of the world. Um, he's done a remarkable job. He's won everywhere been. Remember how people were excited when Steve Alford beat UConn in his first game? Oh, we got the guy. And, Iowa basketball's back. Well, how'd that work out for you? I'm not saying McCollum is going to have that kind of misfortune. This went a long way toward restoring um, the fan base, I think. And I mean, by the fan base, I mean at Carver Hawkeye Arena. And, there's the guys that are leaving this program and Sturts and Banks and to a lesser extent Hausen, they need to be replaced. But a lot of this core of the team is back, and they were there. I mean, Iowa is not ready to pack it in. I don't know if you got the same email I did last night. I looked at it. It was 8:09, and I got an email, in the bulk email from Iowa football, and it was announcing some changes in spring football media availability. And that was about the time Florida's coming back. It's a game. You figure, what, I mean, I know it was total coincidence, but I'm thinking, really? You thinking I was going to lose this basketball game? We're moving on to football. Um, Again, I know it was coincidence, but I thought it was a strange coincidence at that because I was moving on.
They are moving on indeed to the regionals in Houston. Three Big Ten teams and the hometown Houston Cougars are down there. And what's on the other side of the bracket? I think the one thing that nobody really focused on, Mark, until all the dust had settled. Oh yeah, the Huskers, the new rival, and I think the rival of all rivals now for Iowa in sports. And I think fueled by both fan bases, to be quite honest with you. And immediately after the game last night, it did not take a lot of the louds on both sides of the fence. Started by, I think, the Big Red to say, oh, here we come, putting together videos about the game in Lincoln on senior day where Nebraska won. And then Iowa retaliating back with people who have a lot more time than Mark and I do. It's a silly business, but it's the third matchup between Iowa and Nebraska. They've split the first two. Um, each of these teams knows each other so well. I mean, this is going to come down to who keeps better care of the ball and who wants it more and who's going to make a higher percentage is going to win this game. I mean, you're to the point now, it's almost down to guts when you get two conference teams going at it for the third time.
Yeah, and the Big Ten had a great day, great weekend. Six teams in the final 16. And who's on the opposite side of the bracket? Iowa, Nebraska. You got Illinois and Houston. I don't know that Illinois can beat Houston, but it certainly could. And then you got an all Big Ten matchup to go to the Final Four. So Big Ten has done very well. First things first for Iowa. It's just going to be a toss-up game, I think. As you said, they split during the regular season. I think Nebraska's a slight favorite, but Iowa's got to come in with a ton of confidence in this game. And, Nebraska had to work to beat Vanderbilt. I don't know which would have been a better matchup for Iowa, but I'm going to quit talking about matchups after last night because that was a horrible matchup on paper for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and it turned out okay.
Florida did not do what they should have done.
No.
They just did not. They fell in love with the threes, and it didn't take a genius to figure out you got two guys that are bigger than Iowa's guys. Post them up. That's not basketball anymore, Mark. That's not basketball anymore.
Especially when Iowa got in such severe foul trouble.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Keep going to the well if you're Todd Golden. Didn't do it. And Gators are out. Yeah, Big Ten has done very well. The SEC has done very well. Big 12 still has three. The Big East has got their big two, and then Duke is representing the flag, flying the flag of the ACC. No mid majors. Tommy Lloyd put it best after their game, Arizona's win yesterday. He said, "This is a new era." I don't think, and I agree with him. I don't think you're going to see mid majors. And other than Texas, who is a double digit seed into the Sweet 16, I think you're just not going to get it very much anymore. And if it does happen, you celebrate it. But like I said in our last podcast, I don't. I think the days of the George Masons are done um, in men's basketball.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because of NIL, but I'd encourage people to stop talking about matchups. I'd encourage them to stop talking about NIL too, because Indiana spent the most money in the offseason on NIL and didn't make the tournament. Kentucky spent 22 million on NIL, paying players. They're out. North Carolina, same thing, out. You go down the list. Texas Tech, even Florida. Uh, that doesn't buy you wins. I mean, I don't know what Iowa's NIL is or Iowa State's, um, but I think it's probably half of what the teams they beat yesterday. So my point is that spend all the money you want. It's decided on the court.
Very true. Very true. Speaking of the Iowa State Cyclones, gutty win for them. Really turned it on in the second half.
Yep.
Um, Beating Kentucky, moving on to the Sweet 16. Iowa State will get Tennessee. Really good Tennessee team with a really good point guard. That Gillespie Taman Lipsey matchup is going to be tremendous. Final game on Friday. I think Iowa State fans are happy because that means that Jefferson has another day to recoup. I boy, I don't know, Mark. I just don't know if he's going to even be ready to go next weekend with the severity. Now that we know a little bit more about the ankle injury, but tell you what, TJ Otzelberger gets a lot of press for being a great recruiter, but he really impressed me with the in-game changes he made about halfway through that first half yesterday. Kentucky was actually running some offense, and when they run some offense, they're pretty good. They were back cutting. Iowa State was just playing them without Jefferson inside, straight up. TJ Otzelberger decided, okay, we got to go back to our doubles. Double the ball, go out there. And in this way that the NCAA tournament is being called, get physical. Kentucky has no point guard, and it showed. And Kentucky had about an 8-minute span where they turned the ball over 11 times and erased a 10-point deficit. Iowa State did. Heisey hit the shot at halftime. I said, this thing's going to be 20. Charles Barkley or Clark Kellogg said this thing was going to be a blowout. Turned out to be a blowout because Iowa State plays defense. Defense travels, even with your second team All American on the end of the bench.
Yeah, I think no question the Iowa State defense was the story of the game. Kentucky had they just committed another turnover. I mean, it was 20 some turnovers, and it just could not handle the ball because of Iowa State's defense. Taman Lipsey was great. Uh, a true senior leader at point guard. Otzelberger likes him as the best point guard in the country, and you would expect him to say that. Doesn't matter whether he is or isn't. He's a guy you want on your team, and Iowa State wants on its team. I worry about the Iowa State depth a little bit with Jefferson being out of the lineup because all but 5 points were scored by starters in yesterday's game. How long can you continue to do that? I know Iowa State fans are hopeful of Jefferson being back, not only for the team's sake but for his sake. What a horrible thing it would be to miss all but 2.5 minutes of the NCAA tournament. But we'll see about that as the week goes on. As you said, he gets a little extra time to recuperate. But that was a mighty impressive second half by Iowa State yesterday.
Yeah, shot the ball really well in the second half, but did a lot of things to get people open in the second half. And it gets tougher. Not a great Kentucky team. Iowa State can win that game without Jefferson. I'm not sure Iowa State can win the national championship without a healthy Jefferson. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just being truthful out there. And it's going to be Tennessee is going to be tough. Michigan lurking on the other side, perhaps going to be tough, especially with Mara in the middle, and then possibly Arizona. It's going to be a lot tougher. We know this: Jefferson's not going to be 100%, even if he comes back at any point in this tournament.
Yeah, I think it was going to be tough with or without him, but Michigan, don't sleep on Alabama either.
No,
Alabama's going to give Michigan everything they want. Um, but first things first, and that is Tennessee, a very impressive win against Virginia. And it should get tougher each and every game, and that's the case with Iowa State. Uh, I thought the Cyclones might be a little bit of trouble without Jefferson, but it didn't turn out to be the case. Going forward, it may be a problem. We'll see.
yeah. Iowa State Friday night. They're the late game as Cyclones will take on the Rocky Top and the Tennessee Volunteers. Talking March Madness with you here on this Monday edition of the Unash and Dukes podcast. Thanks for joining us. Presented by Emel's Hideaway, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, and a classic local American restaurant with catering, a fully stocked bar, open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. Iowa women go down to defeat at home in the second round of the tournament. 8-point loss in double overtime to, as I mentioned to start off the podcast, Mark, a Virginia team that had a 10, 11 next to them. I think 11. They were in the play-in.
10, 10.
10? Okay,
Yeah.
10. That was not a number 10 team. That was a veteran team and played 3 games in 5 days, with 2 of them going into overtime. They deserved it. I think Jan Jensen, when you take a look at her comments afterwards, will probably say Virginia definitely deserved it. But man alive. And the late, great Bob Brooks said it best, Mark. He told me more often than not, you got to make those free throws. Killed Iowa on Monday.
No question about it. And Ava Hayden getting in foul trouble in the first half didn't help either. I mean, she had 25, 26 points, and other than her, this has been a very offensively challenged Iowa basketball team, especially in the postseason. And I'm talking about the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament. Until today, Iowa had not scored more than 64 points in a game since the end of the regular season. And they needed double overtime today to do that. They just have a couple pieces missing or not on campus yet. Um, this team has had a heck of a year, I think. I don't think it was a number 2 seed. It didn't play like a number 2 seed. Although I'll preface that by saying the margin between ones and twos is pretty wide. And then you go down to 3, 4, 5, 6. So between 2 and 10, it's pretty competitive, and Virginia showed that today. Shame to have Hannah Stolke's career and Kylie Feuerbach's career ended home in a loss, but they made a great deal of this Iowa women's basketball team all the way back to the Final Four appearances in which they were a part of. And from that standpoint, it's too bad that it ended like this, but it was just a tough day. Even though it was a tough day in the 215 matchup with Fairleigh Dickinson. I don't know if Iowa hit a wall or the opponents did a great job. I don't know what the answer was, but uh, the Lady Hawkeyes were not clicking on all cylinders, and the season's over.
And losing McCabe didn't help the offense. We know that. Kind of needed a few more 3-pointers to go in, but the free throws. If you make your free throws, Iowa's going to the regionals. That's pretty much the easiest way to put it. And that's not on one particular person, Mark. That's on several out there. I mean, it just wasn't a good day down the stretch for Iowa as far as free throws are concerned. So it is now officially, the Clark era is officially over, because with Hannah Stolke and Feuerbach playing their last games today. Yeah, now it's a brand new beginning, if you will. Now Iowa's got Hayden back next year. They got basically a lot of their offense back for next year. Maybe the best recruit to ever come to Iowa City coming in next year. Heard this about Addie Deal, not to put her down or anything like that. But it's a new era now for Jan Jensen in Iowa City.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about McCabe and Stokey and Feuerbach playing their last games, and they're going to be missed. But that happens about every year to every college basketball team. You got to replace those people. But Ava Hayden is a good place to start. Chit Chat Wright is a good place to start at point guard next year. I think Deal will get better and better. This is clearly a learning year for her. Aside from some non-conference games, which she shined, she struggled. She struggled with her shot. She had moments, but I don't think she really had a great season by any means. At least didn't live up to her billing, and maybe that was unfair. I don't know. A player like Journey Houston, I think, is going to get better and better. Never going to be a star, I don't think, but going to be a very solid player. And then great recruiting classes. So the cupboard is not bare for Jan Jensen. I think the future is still pretty bright.
I would agree. And future in Ames, that's something that a lot of people are speculating about right now. Iowa State falling in the first round despite another great performance in the post by Audie Crooks. Audie Crooks was asked, Tommy Birch of the Register, asked her point blank afterwards, you coming back? And she did not say yes. She did not say no. ESPN did a piece on Audie Crooks. Really good piece, by the way, if you haven't seen it. And same thing, would not confirm nor deny coming back. A lot of people talking about Bill Fenley's future in Ames. That is 3 straight years now of Iowa State falling early in the first round of the NCAA tournament. There's I'm not going to say there's panic in Ames or anything like that, but can I say there's uncertainty in Ames?
Well, I think from the standpoint of Fenley and Crooks, their futures might depend on one another. And by that, I mean, if Bill Fenley decides to hang it up, maybe Audie Crooks decides to make herself available for the WNBA draft or decides to transfer. Maybe she'll stay. I don't know. I know she's very focused on getting her degree. Um, and vice versa. If Audie Crooks decides that she's done with college basketball, maybe Bill Fenley will say, well, maybe this is a good time to step away. I'm not saying either one will happen, but either one could. And Audie Crooks, I think she will have some value in the WNBA in terms of her post skills. Very skeptical about her defense. That's putting it lightly. But I mean, there's a lot of spots in the WNBA. There's 2 expansion teams now. There's plenty of spots. If not, she could go ahead and play overseas somewhere. She's going to have a future in basketball if she so chooses. But I wouldn't. I think it's a time of uncertainty in Ames in terms of women's basketball.
I would agree. I would agree. Uh, Getting to the end of our allotted time here. So we ought to thank our great sponsors, Emil's Hideaway, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Lindale Mall next to the Home Depot. Thanks to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, Johnson Avenue Northwest in Cedar Rapids. Our friend Gary at Bim Ritter Sportswear in downtown Cedar Rapids and online at bimritter.com, your one-stop store for screen print and embroidery for whatever you need. Also to Dr. John Wolner at Epiphany Dermatology at Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids, and Todd Hunt at Hunt Graphic Innovations. They run our crmlivesports.com website, and if you want an eye-catching website, reach out to Todd. Appreciate him. We'll talk all things wrestling. One more visit with Mark Ironside coming up on Wednesday. Great tournament for Iowa, finishing up in 4th, and we'll find out all about it on Wednesday with Mark.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. All I hope is when Iowa and Nebraska meet, they shake hands.
Well, there was a shaking hand incident in Cleveland. We'll see. All right. Thanks, Mark. We'll
You
talk
bet.
midweek.
Talk Wednesday.
It's been the Unash Dukes podcast, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will talk to you next time.